Welcome to Camnet TV Main News. I am Precious Mzea Sakaleshi. The headlines. Government regrets ratifying the African Continental Free Trade Area. The Ministry of Lands to institute investigations into the KAMPASA land saga. Authority urged to initiate the process of marking submission to the Public Order Act. And in international news, Senegal sacks health minister over deaths of 11 newborn babies in a hospital fire. And in sports, Zambia Judo Association pleased with Stephen's performance in the African tournament. Join me with the details after this commercial.
Special announcement. We regret to announce the postponement of the Love and Marriage Business Conference from the 28th May 2022 to a later date to be announced. We regret any inconveniences caused.
Only to find I'm rested.
On Monday 30th May 2022, on National Matters, join Pastor Moses Chiluba as he hosts Anthony Walia, the presidential spokesperson.
That to be done. So we need to isolate legal debt from illegal debt. Insofar as the legal debt is concerned, we need to immediately place a moratorium on that. What that means is that we need to stop commercial borrowing, because this is what has put us in the problems that we're in. So once we've put a stop on commercial borrowing, it doesn't mean that Zambia will no longer require budgetary support from other people. We will. And this is what the European depiction is saying, that we need now to leverage our bilateral and multilateral relationships with the IMF, the World Bank, and other countries.
As they discuss Zambia's current affairs on DSTV channel 274, GoTV channel 98, and Topstar channel 106.
Invite others to participate through phoning on Skype, Zoom, WhatsApp, and text messages. Make a date with us. Camnet TV, not just another channel.
And now the main news in detail. Pedestrians along Lumumba Road in SAGA have called on the authority to put up speed humps for purposes of protecting the vendors along the road. Meanwhile, Zambia Road Safety Trust Communications Advisor, Mr. Milos Mwale, laments that it is unacceptable that about 15 accidents have been recorded on Lumumba Road in the first quarter of 2022. Mr. Mwale says this is the more reason why the authority should look at this matter with the urgency it deserves. Lusaka province has continued to experience a recorded number of road traffic accidents, accounting for 57.7% of all accidents countrywide in the first quarter of 2022, according to the statistics from the Zambia police.
Zambia now not only has to worry of diseases as being the major leading cause of death in the country, as road traffic accidents RTAs have also become a concern. In the first 3 months of 2022 alone, Zambia recorded 7,255 RTAs, resulting in 568 deaths, compared to 405 deaths within the same period in 2021. According to the data which was released by the Zambia Police Service for the first quarter of 2022, Lusaka province accounted for over 50% of these accidents countrywide, having recorded 57.7% of the RTAs. Pedestrians in Lusaka have therefore called up for the putting of speed humps on roads that still pose as a danger, among them the busy Lumumba Road.
Bantu wakufa maningi wabunga maningi, so tifuna ko mahamps maningi, funa mahampu chame tifuna mahampu maningi. Ati so wafaka ko mazebra cross wapita che mama basi sibaona, so tifuna ko mahampu njeje tifuna.
Ati was comprendre about the tarmac yeah. What is every day? Every day accident up. Once I want to crossing but go that side, instead every day accident every day.
Kari hapa Kevu hapa so ikevu Afrika wafaka kwa mambo kari wamabunga hapa wantu maningi hapa. Accident yani ambiri maningi. Nabakaya wapa mepano wanzatu wanawapa ya maningi pamene hapa. So ifunika kwa kuchoka pa marobot kwa wamabora speed maningi. Ifunika wafaka kwa marobot. Wafaka kwa mapefu nangu ya tatu che at least. Wazina shako ma speed kari pa market.
Meanwhile, in a phone interview, Zambian Road Safety Trust Communications Advisor Mr. Milos Mwale has expressed worry that about 15 accidents have been recorded on Lumumba Road in the first quarter of 2022, calling for speedy action.
Some roads are not meeting like the 3-star rating or better. You know, that is something that we need, like people in enforcement, especially the institutions and agencies that are responsible, to make sure that they put all these things in place. I can give an example for Lumumba Road. There's too much of traffic congestion. Roads are not marked. So I think we feel that as a Zambia Road Safety Trust, we are appealing to institutions that are responsible to wake up, to make sure that all non-motorized transport are considered.
Zambia hopes to achieve a 50% reduction of RTAs by 2030, and citizens agree that achieving this goal will have to begin with working on local roads. Zipporah Mshala, Camnet News, Lusaka.
Government has expressed plans to institute investigations to establish the legality of reports on the 150 acres land of KAMPASA A of Chongwe district. This follows a peaceful protest held Thursday members of KAMPASA after a non-developer resumed the works on the said land. In an exclusive interview with Camnet News, Minister of Lands and Natural Resources Elijah Muchima says his ministry will ensure that the people of KAMPASA are served within the provision of the law and people behind the development will be brought to light in due course.
Following a peaceful protest held Thursday by members of KAMPASA Stage A, government has received a report planning to investigate in the matter. This is regarding a protest of over 300 people of KAMPASA A of Chongwe district who woke up to the shock Thursday as a non-land developer started works on a 150 hectares piece of land which these people have lived since 1984. During an exclusive interview with Camnet News, Minister of Lands and Natural Resources Elijah Muchima says his ministry will institute an investigation in the matter.
Money to displace people at will. The matter will be investigated thoroughly. That's the goodness with this government. It's allowing people with the grievances to come forward. It's their government. What we don't want is riots causing damage to government property. But if it's peaceful and they have a grievance, they want the attention of the government, they are totally supported. We need to investigate this matter thoroughly and action should be taken. Because
he says the UPND administration were ushered into power by the people and they have the rights to be heard.
Because before a title deed is given, there is a social survey that goes on, socio-economic survey. Any place which is encroached, which is already with the people, a title deed is not supposed to be given. Because if we allow that arrogance, like what was happening in the previous government, then it causes chaos. We need orderliness. I promise you, we have appealed to my people in KAMPASA A to be patient. We want to examine the causes and who was behind issuing this title deed. Because there is a procedure in which a title deed is given to the people with money. That is not going to be tolerated. We want to see if procedures were followed and what has caused that problem. I'll take it up. I will indeed take it up and I'll work in liaison with the area member of parliament, Honorable Maseo. We have to investigate the matter thoroughly.
The minister has since assured that the people behind the development of the said land will be known in due course and a solution will be found. Alex Shimba, Camnet News in Lusaka.
Meanwhile, Minister of Lands and Natural Resources Elijah Mchima has maintained his position that government will not give title to Trident Mine, formerly known as Kalumbila Mine. First Quantum Minerals operated mine applied to government through the Ministry of Lands and Natural Resources to put 38,000 acres for surface rights and 5,000 acres for township expansion on title. Mr. Mchima says the mine has proved to fail the people of Kalumbila even after agreeing to the terms such as the agreement on constructing decent accommodation for those who were resettled in 2013. Mr. Mchima says the United Party for National Development UPND has pledged allegiance to the people of Zambia, and no form of investment will embrace on the expense of the Zambian people. He has expressed disappointment in the Kalumbila mine management for boycotting a meeting earlier after agreeing to be in attendance.
We need the investment coming, but it must come with respect. They must honor whatever is there. The chief is the owner, is the customer land. It's here in the constitution. If there's a dispute, it can be reviewed. Why are they running away from the meeting? We have offered them an opportunity, would have met with the senior chief, and then would have ironed these things, would have not even gone to this, but they have shown arrogancy. They have shown that their money is more important than the land where they are. It's more important than the mineral they are extracting from Kalumbila. Kalumbila land belongs to the people of Zambia. It's not about money. There are sentimental attachments to the people. Deal with the people properly. Use of land, transparent, effective, efficient administration of land. When it's not transparent, they got 51,000 hectares. The people are saying it's too much. People are saying it's too much. It's a country. Even if they reduce it to 38, and they are saying no, part of it will be forest, they want to protect it. Who says Zambian government cannot protect this one forest? We do not want to be hoodwinked. We want to restrict the usage of that, because they might say it's a forest. Tomorrow when they have got a title, you will not control them. Let them sober. Let them sober down. Enough is enough in this country. We love investments, but it must come with respect. We need to be dignified. A black person is a human being with the same blood like another race.
Minister of Commerce, Trade and Industry Chipoka Mulenga has disclosed that government will not rush into the African Continental Free Trade Area Agreement operational phase, saying it was hurried done by the Patriotic Front administration. Mr. Mulenga tells Camnet News that if he was minister at that time, he would have not signed the agreement before putting in place the modalities because it disadvantages small economies like Zambia. The minister says going into the Continental Trade Treaty with a weak manufacturing sector will be suicidal for Zambia's industrialization agenda and the growth of small and medium enterprises.
Zambia ratified the Continental Free Trade Area Agreement, and then Zambia's ambassador to the Republic of Ethiopia, Emmanuel Mamba, was responsible for spearheading the process, and former President Edgar Lungu was honored by the African Union for contributing to the works of the continental body. The African Continental Free Trade Area creates a single African market of over 1 billion consumers with a total gross domestic product GDP of $3 trillion US. The operational phase of the Africa Continental Free Trade Area was launched during the extraordinary session of the Assembly of the African Union Treaty in Niamey, Niger on the 7th of July 2019. The start of trade under the Africa Continental Free Trade Area Agreement began on 1st January 2022. However, no trade has yet taken place under the Africa Continental Free Trade Area Agreement regime.
You are aware that now there are 36 African countries that signed a declaration in Rwanda, Kigali, and then proceeded to sign the agreement and now have ratified through their legislature the FCTM. And Zambia is among the 36 countries. We were honored to receive this award on behalf of His Excellency the President. The award was given to 36 other heads of states at the African Union Commission headquarters here in Addis Ababa.
But Minister of Commerce, Trade and Industry, Chipoka Mulenga, says they will not rush into the Africa Continental Free Trade Area Agreement operational phase, saying the ratification process was hurriedly done by the Patriotic Front administration. He says there was a need to review the country's performance under the Southern African Development Community, SADC, and the Common Market for Eastern and Southern Africa, COMESA, before ratifying the continental trade.
But before we go into the African Continental Free Trade Area, the question we should ask ourselves as Zambians is, what benefits has the Zambian economy gotten from COMESA? What benefits has the Zambian economy gotten from SADC? Has it helped to grow the business community in Zambia, the industrialization policy of Zambia, or has it crippled it? Right now, we need to make the most. There are some certain desirables that at a later platform, when I come to discuss to the nation, I'll tell you that we needed to do better in COMESA in this regard. So did we have to do in SADC. Later on, we jumped so quickly to go to African Continental Free Trade Area. If I were a Minister of Commerce last year, or the time when we were signing it, I would have said, let's hold on to it. In as much as we want to do business together, let us hold on to it until we negotiate everything but good for Zambia. We cannot sign into it.
The minister says going into the continental trade with a weak manufacturing base is suicidal for Zambia.
On the African Continental Free Trade Area, and I can assure you, we don't need as a country to rush into it. In its current form, look, the document is good. It will make Africa trade within itself. But the way it has been structured, there are some certain desirables that we feel Africa should refine so that there is no bigger player, bigger brother and younger brother in this. There are some certain things that if we allow them to just being actualized in its current form, the dream for Zambia to become industrialized would never happen. The dream to grow SMEs into middle income or major players will never happen, because we are going to subject the poor Zambian manufacturers to compete with other bigger economies in Africa.
Patrick Soko, Camnet News in Lusaka.
In other news, Lusaka Mayor Chilando Chitangala has called on councillors to foster government's agenda of decentralization, stating that citizens should participate and be engaged if meaningful development is to be achieved. Speaking when she officially opened an engagement dialogue meeting with councillors from Kabwata and Chawama constituencies, the mayor states that citizens need to be educated on how they can participate in the development of their areas. Meanwhile, councillors who participated in the engagement meeting say projects should be approved by leadership at grassroots level, unlike subjecting them to approval from the line ministry if decentralization is to have meaning.
Grassroots development through Constituency Development Fund (CDF) has been topical in Zambia, following the increment of the fund from 1.6 million to 25.7 million kwacha. Questions have remained on how communities can effectively participate in suggesting what projects can be done, as well as monitoring their implementation. Lusaka Mayor Chilando Chitangala says it is the duty of councillors to ensure that the communities are educated on how they can participate. Speaking during an engagement meeting with councillors from Chawama and Kabwata constituency Friday, the mayor explains that doing this will ensure greater accountability and better public service delivery.
The national budget is an important economic policy tool that enables government to plan and manage its revenue and expenditure. Further, the budgeting process needs to be more consultative and inclusive if it has to be more representative with the people's aspirations. Thus, the participation of citizens in the budget formulation process has been underscored as an important aspect in development.
Meanwhile, Zambia Council for Social Development board member Mr. Jacob Makambwe has challenged communities to take interest in participating in local development within their areas.
We've actually gotten so many different views from different constituencies on how the councillors are participating in terms of trying to give the information through the ward development committees. It has been a hard journey, but now we are seeing the fruits coming up, and we are hoping that Chawama and Kawata and the entire SAGA will definitely try to get, to support our project and to see that citizens are able to participate in the budget process.
Meanwhile, participating councillors, among them Kamwala Ward 5 Councillor Mainda Simata, say local leaders should be allowed to make the final decisions on community projects instead of the line ministry, failure to which decentralization will have no meaning.
I'm also mindful that the current bottlenecks concerning the CDF have to be resolved, and I think we are making strides. We have engaged local government. Even the Minister of Finance himself did allude to the fact that there were so many bottlenecks in the CDF disbursement process, and we've actually engaged him to ensure to say that we actually reduce those bottlenecks that are impeding on the release of the funds.
The non-governmental Gender Organizations Coordinating Council, NGOCC, and Oxfam are also participating in the project of engaging councillors, urging them to also take into account factors such as gender equality. The said project is being funded by the European Union delegation to Zambia. Zipporah Mshala, Camnet News, Lusaka.
Meanwhile, Chawama Ward 2 Councillor Kama Jawara says a lot of work remains to be done when it comes to getting rid of bad cultural norms which discourage women from taking up leadership positions in politics. In an interview, the councillor explains that even at adoption level, most adopted females face a stigma, as it is assumed by many that they give sexual favors in exchange for adoption. The Chawama Ward 2 councillor is one of the only 4 females in the Lusaka City Council, which consists of 38.
The challenge starts with adoption. Adoptions is the most challenging thing for a lady to be adopted. You know, everybody's looking at you, Mukazi, this is a female. So people do not think females can lead. So it's a cultural problem. And then secondly, even when you are adopted, the electorates, to have people actually vote for you is a challenge because there's a lot of convincing to do. Yes, and then we have a lot of biasness and sexism. You know, people pass so many comments about women, and any lady that is politically inclined, people think you are indulging in other vices for you to actually make it in the political field. So those are the many challenges that women are facing. But my encouragement is that we can change this culture by doing a lot more sensitizations, allowing more women to participate so that people can see that actually women are able to lead and are able to bring development and add on to the governance system.
The Emerald and Semi-Precious Stones Mining Association of Zambia, ESMA's president, Victor Kalesha, has appealed to government to start engaging with small-scale miners to develop the gemstone sector in the country. Speaking during a graduation ceremony for over 10 students at the Gemstone Processing and Lapidary Training Center, Mr. Kalesha advised the graduates to utilize the skills in adding value to the gemstone sector by realizing the dream of opening up their own cutting and polishing centers. Meanwhile, Copperbelt Province Minister Elisha Matambo graced the graduation with a call for small-scale miners to take the front seat in the country's economic diversification and job creation agenda.
20 students have graduated with a certificate in national designing and cutting through a virtual training sponsored by the World Bank from November 2021 to March 2022 at the Gemstone Processing and Lapidary Training Center in Ndola. The training was held in partnership with Vetrigem and Federation of Small-Scale Mining. Speaking during the graduation ceremony, Ndola District Commissioner Joseph Piri expressed happiness that the training was a success and assured the gemstone sector of government's commitment in achieving the 8th National Development Plan of enhancing the capacity of small-scale miners in value addition in order to boost the export revenue for the country's mining sector. Mr. Piri expressed positivity that the skills acquired by the graduates will be used in the country's economic diversification and job creation.
As you are aware, it is the government's wish for small-scale miners to participate in the economic diversification and job creation of our country. As government, we are glad that you funded this training to the staff, students, and small-scale miners. I therefore do not doubt that the participants have been adequately empowered with the necessary skills to help in the economic diversification and job creation.
And the Emerald and Semi-Precious Stones Mining Association of Zambia President Victor Kalesha pleaded with government to empower them so as to enable the small-scale miners start producing and contribute to the national treasury. He says once empowered, small-scale miners have the capability to produce materials to be supplied to the lapidary school, which will help in skill acquisition.
What we want to be done is empower our own people. Government empowers its own people to start producing and start contributing to the national treasury. When we produce, it is us, the small-scale miners, who can provide materials to the lapidary school so that these graduates or trainees from this school will get maximum benefit from their training. The new graduates will be employed by us, small-scale miners, so as to start realizing their dreams of opening up their own cutting and polishing centers or companies. In view of the above, I would like to appeal to the government to start engaging with small-scale miners to develop our gemstone sector in every area where we can find gemstones.
And Virtue Gem Country Coordinator Pastor Pauline Mundia thanked the Gemstone Processing and Lapidary Training Center in Ndola for its excellent leadership and commitment to ensuring the skills are acquired by students.
The National Gem Cut, the Ndola Gemstone Processing Lapidary Training Center has shown both leadership and inclusive in the workshop, bringing in students and guiding the gem cutters of Zambia to complete a national gemstone cut that is distinguished, symbolic, and beautiful. We are very grateful to the Ndola Gemstone community for the participation and exemplary completion of the workshop, and are proud to display the national cut internationally. Actually, I have to mention here that the principal lecturer, who is a professor at the Brazilian Mining University, mentioned that Zambia did very well because we completed, the process on time.
Nelson Zulu for Camnet News.
You're watching Camnet TV Main News. We take our first set of commercials. We'll be back with more after this.
We take risks every day, with some big things and some little things. Other risks are out of our control. But no matter what's important in your life, Savenda Insurance has got you covered. Whether it's for your home, vehicle, investments, or the people you love, you shouldn't have to worry about securing the future. Let us handle that. Since 2014, we have helped Zambians protect their health and personal property, offering peace of mind and fostering progress and development. Taking risks is what makes us grow. Insurance is what keeps us going strong.
Your skin is the biggest muscle in your body. That's why we make sure that Oracle is #1 when it comes to taking care of your precious skin. Oracle Pure Petroleum Jelly and Glycerin soothes, moisturizes and keeps your skin perfect. Oracle Pure Petroleum products for that perfect skin.
On Monday 30th May 2022, On National Matters, join Pastor Moses Chiluba as he hosts Anthony Walia, the presidential spokesperson.
If that's to be done. So we need to isolate legal debt from illegal debt. Insofar as the legal debt is concerned, we need to immediately place a moratorium on that. What that means is that we need to stop commercial borrowing, because this is what has put us in the problems that we're in now. So once we put a stop on commercial borrowing, it doesn't mean that Zambia will no longer require budgetary support from other people. We will. And this is what the European Union keeps saying, that we need now to leverage our bilateral and multilateral relationships with the IMF, the World Bank, and other countries.
As they discuss Zambia's current affairs on DSTV channel 274, GoTV channel 98, and Topstar channel 106.
Invite others to participate through phoning on Skype, Zoom, WhatsApp, and text messages. Make a date with us. Camnet TV, not just another channel.
Special announcement. We regret to announce the postponement of the Love and Marriage Business Conference from the 28th May 2022 to a later date to be announced. We regret any inconveniences caused.
Only to find I'm rested.
Welcome back. We continue with the rest of the main news. Government has challenged the decision by the Constitutional Court Judge Martin Musaluke to stay criminal proceedings before the Lusaka Magistrate Court involving former Konkola Copper Mines provisional liquidator Milingo Lungu in a case he is accused of possessing property suspected to be proceeds of crime. This is in a case in which Mr. Milingo Lungu has petitioned the Attorney General, Drug Enforcement Commission and its investigative officer Boyd Munalula and others in the Constitutional Court seeking an order that his purported arrest is an abuse of criminal proceedings. So recently, Constitutional Judge Musaluke staged criminal proceedings that Mr. Milingo Lungu is currently facing before the Magistrate Court until a determination of his case before the Superior Court. However, its notice of motion to reverse the said ruling, government argues that Judge Musaluke erred in law and misdirected himself when he stayed the criminal proceedings against Mr. Milingo Lungu before the subordinate court.
Unsatisfied with the Constitutional Court's decision to stay criminal proceedings before the subordinate court against former Konkola Copper Mines provisional liquidator Milingo Lungu, government has filed an application challenging the said ruling. On the 19th of May 2022, the Constitutional Court ordered that no party or interested individuals would take an action in the criminal proceedings currently before the Lusaka's Magistrate Court involving Mr. Milingo Lungu, where he is accused of being in possession of property suspected of being proceeds of crime, until the Constitutional Court determines the petition that Mr. Milingo Lungu has sued the state contesting his prosecution. This saw the Economic and Financial Crimes Court indefinitely adjourning the corruption case against Mr. Milingo Lungu 2 days after. However, in a notice of motion to reverse the said ruling delivered by the court, government argues that Judge Martin Musaluke erred in law when he made the said decision, as according to the law, civil proceedings cannot stop criminal proceedings. Government further argues that Judge Musaluke misdirected himself by proceeding to consider Article 128(2) when he said the said article does not apply to this petition. To the contrary, Article 128(2) applies to a situation where a constitution issue arises before proceedings in a lower court and thereafter the lower court is mandated to refer the constitutional issues to the Superior Court, and that at no point did the Constitutional Court receive any referral of the constitutional issue from the subordinate court where Mr. Milingo Lungu is appearing. In conclusion, government submits that having it established that Judge Musaluke misapplied Article 128(2) of the Constitution in granting to stay the criminal proceedings before the Magistrate Court involving Mr. Milingo Lungu, and having established that he departed from the well-settled principle of the law that civil proceedings cannot be used to stop criminal proceedings, hence request the court that the said ruling, delivered by the court on the 19th of May, be reversed. This is in a matter where Mr. Lungu has petitioned the state and its agent in the Constitutional Court over his rearrest on allegation that he bought a house using illegal gains when they entered into an agreement to exempt him from prosecution after he rendered the mining firm's account, records, and relinquished his position. He argues that he was given immunity by government, hence protesting against his prosecution. Miriam Kaimba, reporting for Camnet TV News.
A 46-year-old man of Lusaka has been dragged to the Lusaka Magistrate Court for allegedly claiming that President Hakainde Hichilema is a member of the Antichrist. This is a matter in which Mr. Hansen Zulu, a driver, is facing one count of defamation of the president, contrary to Section 6(9) of the Penal Code.
Just recently, a 24-year-old woman, Salia Laishi, appeared before the Lusaka Magistrate Court and pleaded not guilty for alleging that the country's Republican president, Hakainde Hichilema, sacrificed the 6th, 7th-day Adventist youths who died in the Lake Kariba Dam. Ms. Laishi, who is still facing a charge of defamation of the president, is said to have, on the 5th of January 2022, with intent to bring the name of the president into ridicule or contempt, published a defamatory matter by word of mouth in which she alleged that the head of state sacrificed the 6 SDA youths who drowned in Lake Kariba in Siavonga district on New Year's Day after jumping off a fishing rig so that he can work well, as he has failed to work. However, just like Ms. Laishi, a 47-year-old man of Lusaka has also booked himself a debt with the courts for alleging that the head of state is a member of the Antichrist. Hansen Zulu, a driver, has been slapped with one count of defamation of the president, contrary to Section 69 of the Penal Code, Chapter 87 of the laws of Zambia. The accused, who failed to appear before Lusaka Magistrate Court Friday morning for his plea, is alleged to have published a defamatory statement on his Facebook page claiming that the president, Hakainde Hichilema, is a member of the Antichrist, hence the reason the country can't get supplies. Mr. Zulu is expected to appear before Magistrate Crispin Hampungani on the 30th of June for possible plea. Cherish Siwote, Camnet News, Lusaka.
Operation Young Vote Executive Director Guest Nyirenda has implored the government to start the process of receiving submissions on the Public Order Act. Recently, President Hakainde Hichilema disclosed that the cabinet approved the review of the Public Order Act. But Mr. Nyirenda tells Camnet News that the government must not just end at making the pronouncement, but start gating the reviews of stakeholders towards the refinement process before it is tabled in Parliament. He says successive governments have failed to amend the act, which he said has been detrimental to the country's democracy, especially during elections.
The agreement and approval by cabinet and government generally to review or to begin to work or reform the Public Order Act is a very welcome move. I think we have seen in the past that regimes have come, regimes have gone. We have a Public Order Act that is an archaic law, a law that is of the 1950s, somewhere there. And the UPND administration has taken a bold stance to ensure that that law is revised. However, just giving an agreement or an approval in principle is not enough. For us, we want to see that the UPND will walk the talk and ensure that this Public Order Act is revised to the, liking and to the acceptance of all stakeholders. They must begin to seek, views from the people, stakeholders. What is it that they want to see in the new Public Order Act, even as we go towards reforming or repealing and replacing the current one, or amending, whichever the case may be. So it is important to seek the views of the stakeholders, but also it is important that these wheels of equity and justice, of reform that have started, do not just end at approval and principle agreement.
In other news, Vice President Mutale Nalumango has implored all countries to increase funding to disaster-related activities in their national budgets. The Vice President notes that there has been underinvestment in disaster risk reduction activities despite optimum uses of resources for sustainable development. Pefias Mutale of Zanis reports that the Vice President said in Indonesia today in her keynote speech at the high-level dialogue meeting on accelerating financing on risk prevention of disasters. The Vice President has further lamented that disasters have created a broad range of direct and indirect impact on all parts of society. She said this results from investment in risk prevention rather than post-disaster activities such as emergency response, reconstruction, relief and rehabilitation. She, however, states that shifting the financing program is not an easy task as it will depend on a number of initial conditions, including the relative advancement of the existing disaster risk reduction initiatives in a given country. Ms. Nalumango observed that these disasters sometimes result in loss of life, displacement of people from their traditional habitations, and damage to property and infrastructure. The Vice President is also dismayed that over the past 4 decades, economic losses resulting from disasters have more than doubled. Mrs. Nalumango stated that all these initiatives are aimed at mobilizing resources preliminary for response or as opposed to disaster risk reduction. Ms. Nalumango said other factors are the political will of the implementing country at the highest level of leadership and the capacity of mobilizing resources as well as innovativeness of the configuration of disaster-related financing towards risk reduction initiatives, among others. We'll take our second set of commercials. Coming next is international and sports news.
Team, the trajectory of the business looks very positive, and it looks like we'll be able to launch the ministry.
There's so much data.
Mom?
Yes, baby?
It says here, global warming and climate change is caused by the pollution from careless activities of human beings.
Wow!
Son, do you know I can turn my phone into a TV remote?
How's that possible?
It's so easy. Check this out.
Be smart, be fast with mega data from Zamtel. Get your 15 GB mobile data for only 100 kwacha, 30 GB mobile data for only 200 kwacha, and your 70 GB LTE data bundle with free Netflix, YouTube, Facebook, and WhatsApp. Visit our Facebook page, website, or service centers countrywide for more information. Zamtel, your digital lifestyle partner.
We take risks every day, with some big things and some little things. Other risks are out of our control. But no matter what's important in your life, Savenda Insurance has got you covered. Whether it's for your home, vehicle, investments, or the people you love, you shouldn't have to worry about securing the future. Let us handle that. Since 2014, we have helped Zambians protect their health and personal property, offering peace of mind and fostering progress and development. Taking risks is what makes us grow. Insurance is what keeps us going strong.
On Monday, 30th May 2022, on National Matters, join Pastor Moses Chiluba as he hosts Anthony Walia, the presidential spokesperson.
If that's to be done. So we need to isolate legal debt from illegal debt. Insofar as the legal debt is concerned, we need to immediately place a moratorium on that. What that means is that we need to stop commercial borrowing, because this is what has put us in the problems that we're in now. So once we've put a stop on commercial borrowing, it doesn't mean that Zambia will no longer require budgetary support from other people. We will. And this is what the European Deputation is saying, that we need now to leverage our bilateral and multilateral relationships with the IMF, the World Bank, and other countries.
As they discuss Zambia's current affairs on DSTV channel 274, GoTV channel 98, and Topstar channel 106.
Invite others to participate through phoning on Skype, Zoom, WhatsApp and text messages. Make a date with us. Camnet TV, not just another channel.
Welcome back. Now getting into our international item. Senegal's President Macky Sall fired his health minister on Thursday, a day after 11 newborn babies died in a hospital fire, blamed on an electrical short circuit. Sall named Dr. Marie Kemese Ngom-Ndiaye as Minister of Health to replace Abdoulaye Diouf Sarr, the presidency said in a statement. In other news, Zimbabwe and several other southern African countries say they want a ban on the ivory trade to be lifted. Africa is home to about 415,000 elephants, the largest population in the world. While the global elephant population is declining, the number in southern Africa is increasing. Here's a roundup of international news.
The last walk for Abdoulaye Diouf Sarr as health minister to the hospital where 11 newborn babies died in a fire from an electrical short circuit in Senegal's western city of Tivaouane. But it is also the end of the road for him as health minister. The head of state has declared 3 days of national mourning. He also shared the pain with the Khalifa General of the Tidans and all of Tivaouane. He shared the pain with the Senegalese people. The incident, which has taken the nation to grief, is prompting reactions from civil society groups and activists. The country's president, Macky Sall, in a statement, has named Dr. Marie Kemese Ngom-Ndiaye as Minister of Health to replace Abdoulaye Diouf Sarr. The tragedy in Tivaouane comes after several other public health incidents in Senegal, which suffers from a great disparity between urban and rural areas in health care services.
At Desire Hotel in Kigali, preparations to receive asylum seekers being deported by the UK are in high gear. The rooms are being dusted and furniture cleaned. It's part of a controversial deal signed by Rwanda and Britain to expel illegal migrants to Kigali. We will welcome these migrants with open arms. We'll try to make them forget the problems that made them leave their country. We want to make sure that the idea of crossing the Mediterranean never comes back to their hearts. We want their hearts to be filled with joy in this country. Kigali is keen to put on a show. It says a good life awaits the migrants. But the arrangement has been criticized by activists and rights organizations and by at least 2 UN agencies. The contract between Rwanda and the United Kingdom is clear. All the expenses are taken care of by the British government. Therefore, the hotels, the schools, should the migrants want to go to school, if they're going to be treated, all of this will be paid for by the British government. The plan aims to discourage desperate migrants from attempting to cross the English Channel by flying them some 6,400 kilometers to Rwanda, where they are expected to stay for good. But critics say the move goes against the Refugee Convention. These migrants will be integrated. They will know what Rwanda is, the Rwandan culture. They will learn Kinyarwanda, and then you know if they have to study in the universities, that is done in French, English or any other language. It won't cause any problems. But we have a whole program to integrate them easily. Under the scheme, Kigali will be paid $160 million for accepting the asylum seekers. Both London and Kigali have defended the deal as a humane solution to global migration challenges.
You are looking at a crisis. That's what Zimbabwe's National Parks Authority says. The country is sitting on about $600 million worth of ivory in storage, 130 tons. Ivory tusks seized from poachers or collected from elephants that died naturally. But Zimbabwe can't sell any of the stock because of an international ban on ivory trade by CITES, the Global Convention on the Wildlife Trade.
It's a vexed issue. There are those that are pro-trade, those that are anti-trade. I think there's common ground that everybody is striving to manage their elephant populations and the interface with human communities, but there's a gulf, a big difference of opinion on whether or not selling ivory is the way to go or maintaining the ban is the way to go.
Southern African countries want the right to do as they please with their ivory stockpiles and elephants. They say they're going to demand this at the next global convention on the wildlife trade later this year.
We have committed that we will continue to engage our brothers and sisters. We believe that it is possible to find common ground, which common ground obviously favors conservation.
Zimbabwe's National Parks Authority says the country has more than 100,000 elephants, up from 84,000 in 2014 when the last census was done. But it can only sustainably manage half that number in its national parks.
Since we are trying to come up with...
Southern African countries say they don't have the resources to better manage growing elephant populations. That's why they want to sell their ivory stockpiles to fund conservation projects, such as culling or moving animals to less populated areas.
The Kaza area or the Greater Limpopo conservation areas, where I see a lot of opportunities of cross-boundary cooperation, so that to facilitate also wildlife movements, which hopefully would then reduce pressure locally. But of course, all of this requires a lot of thinking. It requires resources, and that's something that the European Union is also very much keen and interested. We want to be a partner in those efforts.
National parks officials say too many elephants destroy the environment and attack farmers when the animals stray from parks to find food. Those opposed to lifting the ban on ivory trade fear it will encourage corruption and poaching, which could end up fueling an illicit trade already worth billions. Haru Matasa, Al Jazeera, Zimbabwe.
We now get into sports news. The Zambia Judo Association says Stephen Mungandu, a 10-point win against Senegal in the Africa Cup of Nations Championship, is a true demonstration that Zambia is ready to participate in the Commonwealth Games scheduled for July. In an interview with Camnet News Sports, the Association General Secretary Mavuto Nguni notes that the 10 points acquired by Mungandu shows the commitment the players have towards the forthcoming Commonwealth Games. Nguni says Mungandu and 4 others have been selected to participate in the tournaments. Mungandu is confident that Zambia will bring back medals. The upcoming edition of the Commonwealth Games will take place from July 28th to August 8th, 2022, bookmarked by the opening and closing ceremonies.
Rita was the first one. Unfortunately, Rita lost in the first round on an account that she accrued 3 penalties, which are called shitos. So she was ruled out of the next round. Simon Zulu fought well. He went up to the quarter-final. He lost to Morocco in the quarter-finals, but came back on repechage and beat Cameroon, and he went into the finals for bronze. Unfortunately, he lost to Morocco again on the finals for bronze. Stephen Mungandu, minus 66, went up to the semi-finals and lost in the finals, semi-finals to Morocco, and fought for bronze. And fortunately for Stephen, he won bronze medal for the nation. Of course, I may say that this competition was an important preparatory competition for the 3 of them, because they are part of the Commonwealth team that is going to represent Zambia in judo in July. So the medal that Stephen has won is a motivating factor to himself and also to the association and also the country at large, because this is a sign that the preparations that have been undergoing have really improved their performance.
Still in sports, Zambia Martial Arts Federation Vice General Secretary Shingarai Mutambilwa says one of the ways of promoting karate in Zambia is by strengthening the martial game in schools. In an interview with Camnet Sports, Mutambilwa notes that through grassroots karate, Zambia can produce Olympic quality athletes to participate in international tournaments. Mutambilwa adds that in order for karate to be embraced in Zambia, people need to understand the art from grassroots. Mutambilwa states that Zambians have a huge role to play in making many martial arts such as karate popular by participating in the sport.
And as someone who has been a martial artist or a karateka for a few years now, maybe 10 or so years, I'll tell you it's mostly about passion, that you go into the sport, the discipline you get, excuse me, and the many other things that come with the sport. But the main thing that people want to know about is the grassroots aspects of martial arts. What are the benefits for the people on the ground? How is it like, and things like that. I'll tell you this for a fact. The first thing is martial arts has not been well known like these other sports, soccer, boxing, or, you know, the major ones that we mostly know as Zambians or as Africans. But we are getting there. And the one thing that we're trying to target is the grassroots people at primary schools, nursery schools. I'll tell you one thing for a fact also. When I was young, in my early days, in my primary school days, that's where the passion developed. But I didn't have the opportunity to join a martial arts club or a karate club because there weren't many at the time. So that's the bridge we're trying to close as an executive, so that every youngster or every kid out there has the opportunity to choose from this sport to another. Because I can tell you there are many children and kids that are out there that would want to become martial artists, like myself.
Government regrets ratifying the African Continental Free Trade Area. The Ministry of Land to institute investigation into the KAMPASA land saga. Authority urged to initiate the process of making submission to the Public Order Act. In international news, Senegal sacks health minister over deaths of 11 newborn babies in a hospital fire. And in sports, Zambia Judo Association pleased with Stevens' performance in the African tournament. Those were the headlines, but our Camnet verse of the day is coming from the book of John 20, verse 21 to 23, and it reads, Jesus said to them again, "Peace to you, as the Father has sent me, I also send you." After saying this, he breathed on them and said, "Receive the Holy Spirit. If you forgive the sins of any, they are forgiven them. If you return the sins of any, they are returned." Thank you for watching. I am Precious Mzea Sakaleji. Pleasant viewing.